necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday.
Oh, TGIF.
God, another TIIF. So,
let's get right to this because I don't want to waste any time today.
Absolutely. Let's get it on.
Okay, so the first thing I want to address is Fall River to start ticketing over trash again. This city is constantly talking about trash. We don't talk about anything else. This is going to be the trashiest city I've ever seen. I mean, the city, the mayor is acting like he didn't know. Kathy Ann's acting like that she didn't know. The city council.
Well, they're only the chief operating officers and executive officers of the city. Right. Why should they know?
But here's the thing: I requested under 6610 this information. Yes. The mayor did not want this information out. Joe Macy refused to provide it and even attached a fee. Now that it's been put out there by the city council, they all have it, everyone's got it. Guess what? Joe Macy still hasn't provided the documents. I got a problem with this. Why is it so important for this mayor, for this corporate councilor, to deny the people's right to know? This is a fascist state. This is getting to be ridiculous.
You're right. But this whole article just goes to show why mainstream media, it's funny because last night we can't put it on the show because there's too many expletives and we'll hurt their little
ears. There'll be too many bovine excrements?
There's too much, equine excrement too. But I was watching that little 2-minute thing from George Carlin, who was a genius.
The 7 words.
A comic genius. No, not the 7 days.
Oh.
About go out and vote.
Oh, yeah.
And stop eating the bull and drink and washing it down with the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And he said the only way you can affect change, he basically said, look, politicians are owned by big money and they're big money too. And if you do go on YouTube and get Google George Carlin and about voting and look at that little 2 or 3 minute skit. It's amazing. But look, this is a bigger problem. It's nice how simplistic the Herald News city councilors to the city councilors, the ongoing problem with noncompliance and pay as you throw is simple: ticket the scoff laws. No, it's a lot more complicated than that. You know why? Because as a city councilor, you should be asking why the mayor, who said when he took office that he was going to make sure that this was complied with, that fines were going to be issued. We got a grant to put people in to ensure compliance. Then, when he went to privatization, he got on his bully pulpit again and talked about how we are going to strictly enforce the pay-as-you-throw. And now it's like everybody's going to amnesia. Oh, really? They weren't complying? This is a fundamental part of the budget. The fact that we went to privatization, part of the money to fund this move to privatization was the money from using the bags. And they don't get it. They're going to get it from us down the road. Nobody's saying what the hell is going on here. And you know what their solution is? We went over on the last show. Hire more people. Hire more people to do what? Not enforce it again? And 6 months down the road, we find out that there's still people and and things are being dismissed. How can you dismiss something? If somebody doesn't have a purple bag, there were cases that were dismissed. Why? But that's irrelevant. But the fact is, look, this is people getting paid huge money not doing their job. The city administrator doesn't know. This is an integral part of the budget. The mayor doesn't know. But one of the biggest bricks in his foundation was this privatization and how much money it was going to save. And the biggest part of that was compliance. A huge factor. It's not, and then we've got Consul Joe Camara saying, how long will it take for people to play dumb? They're not playing dumb. Number one, some of them don't have the money. The other people just say, hey, you idiots will never collect anyway, because, as he went on later to say, they're afraid of the repercussions from the voters. Well, guess what? Don't go on TV. Don't go on the radio. Don't tell the newspaper that you're going to enforce this strictly. There's going to be strict enforcement of this because we need the money. It's in the budget. The projection's in the budget. Well, we haven't collected anything. So what does that do to the budget? And guess what? When we have another deficit, they don't pay it. More fees, more taxes. And while I'm on that, CJ, I'm going to digress for 1 second, and you can, because I know you had an issue with this. On the last show, I talked about $13 per item. It wasn't an article that we read in a show a while ago. Then somebody called me and said it's not. It's 10 to 13. Showed me a paper he got from Mr. Ponciano. And so then we went on the city website. CJ will bring you up to speed, and he'll take it over to tell you his circus about trying to clarify this. But I'll tell you about the city website. That's another thing about people not doing their job. We got an IT guy. Well, I'm going to tell you, we all know that there are ordinances that were changed 15 or 20 years ago that still aren't updated. I don't know. Somebody gets paid to do this stuff. And to show you how bad it is, I've been on a retirement board. It'll be 2 years in January. I was elected to the retirement board to a 3-year term. It'll be 2 years I've been serving in that position. And if you go to the city website and check the retirement board, I'm not on it. They still got the guy that was there 4 years ago. So, CJ, why don't you tell the people, we'll digress just a bit of it, just because this does...
Actually,
I'll use the thing. I'll dovetail because this shows this shows how these people, they don't do anything. We keep paying them more and they don't get anything done.
Well, here's the thing. So after the phone calls that it's not 13, I heard multiple figures. Okay, so I went onto the city website and I found the form. You had to dig for it, but I found the form. The form says that for 1 to 3 items, it's $10. That's the old fee. And the form was actually on there since 2011. 5 years ago. 5 years ago, okay? So I, of course, called the DPW, DCM. And I asked them, how much does it cost to get rid of 1 to 3 items of bulky items in Fall River? She said, oh, well, that's $12. I said, I thought it was 13. No, that's 12. I don't know who told you 13. So I said, okay. So I checked with somebody else in DCM. Oh, that's 13. So now it's 10, 12, and 13. So my question is, if you are going to use the form from the city website and take it into City Hall or mail it in with your check, are they going to pick up your trash, or are they going to say, no, you owe us $3
or $3?
Yeah, nobody knows how much you got to pay. So this is the efficiency of the administration, of the Correa administration. And I have to say the Correa 2 administration because now when I say Mayor Correa, I could be referring to the old Mayor Correa. This is getting to be nutty. All right? When the DCM doesn't even know what their fees are, I have a severe problem. So, of course, I sent that to Michael Hoare, Faust Fiore, and Adriano Ponciano. No replies. I can tell you that Michael Hoare's email kept getting bounced. So,
but CJ, I'm reading this article.
This is getting nasty.
It's such It's such bull.
Yes.
Kathy Ann Viveris has got to get our award for the biggest equine excrement spreader in the history of the world, because I'm reading some of these excuses, and they're excuses because look,
the grant ran
all
out.
these things were supposed to happen before the thing is implemented. You know, you make a plan. This is the way we're supposed to have managers. They're making six figures. You know, if you're going to do something, you create a plan, then you implement the plan. And part of that plan is the how you do the implementation phase. So when we switched over, Waste Zero was supposed to tag these barrels for us, right? So they're not doing it. They won't do it. Let's just like they're not picking up heavy items. Then she's saying, oh, well, there are not enough people. Well, yeah. Well, look. Come on, Kathy. Come on. Do the staff reductions. 132 citations in how long? And how many of them did the fines actually get? It's like, come on. You know, is this rocket science? You open up a barrel, you tip a barrel over, it comes out with green bags and orange bags and every other color bag but purple. And when they take the barrel off the truck, they got something to mark the barrel. Boom. They stick a sticker on the barrel, and you know, but that's extra work for them, and they're going to charge us even more. So anybody, you know, look, this is again politicians that do absolutely nothing except sit on their thumbs, collect their paychecks, and take care of their friends until a crisis occurs with something that they've already addressed or were supposed to have addressed, and then they make excuses. They send Kathy Ann in to lie her tuchus off, just like she did when she went in there about the health care and said that the holidays that the employees got in their health care was because the employees were paying down, her words were paying down their trust fund, when it wasn't. It was the city paying the entire premium because they had mishandled money. You know, this woman, it's incredible how she has maintained her job. City councilors, you're all pathetic. You're all pathetic. She has sat in front of that council since she was appointed city administrator and been caught in hundreds of lies. Hundreds of incorrect figures. What's happened to her? Nothing. You'll fire somebody who doesn't show up for work. She shows up for work, and I guess her job, part of the job description, is to be a professional excuse maker and liar for the administration. So this again is another classic case of politicians selling you a whole bunch of pablum, and then now they're going to wash it down with the Kool-Aid. They're going to come up with, so for the third time, we've restated that enforcement is a priority, and the solution is hire more people. Not do it in the first place.
Well, I mean, it's nauseating. It truly is.
It's disgusting.
Right. Well, let's get on to a little bit more disgusting
Oh,
stuff.
yes, more disgusting.
Okay.
We don't have any shortage of that in this city, I'll tell you.
No, we don't. $750,000 for the King Phillip Mill.
Yep.
Okay, here's first major issue I have here is this place has got hazardous material, it's falling apart, and it's in bad condition. The voters in that neighborhood want it demolished. But the child mayor doesn't want it demolished. He wants to make it market rate housing. And the thing that you don't understand, people, the thing that this mayor doesn't want you to understand, and, you know, Natalie Mello and I do not see eye to eye on a lot of things, okay? And as a matter of fact, she doesn't talk to me anymore. That's fine. That's okay. Knock yourself out. But market rate housing, when they cannot rent them, do become low-income housing because they got to get paid somehow, and the state waives the rules on the market rate housing. Now, here's the thing. $750,000 for that mill with a lot of problems. But if you're a friend of the mayor, like, let's say David Hebert, you can pick up the Lincoln School or the police station for $5,000. How come when you're connected to the mayor's tuchus with your lips and checkbook, you can get properties the city has for dirt cheap money?
And you don't even need a Form K.
And you don't even need a Form K. There
That's
you go.
right. See, there you go.
There you go.
And again, like I said, who cares about the South End residents
That's
that
right.
want it demolished? Who cares? He'll only care about them at election time.
That's right.
Let's hope the South End residents remember him at election time, that he had a total disregard for what they want, just as he had a total disregard for the collective bargaining rights of the DCM workers that he displaced without bargaining in good faith.
That's right.
And so, I mean, it's obvious
And
that
granting pay raises to a woman in the Treasury.
And it's obvious that this mayor believes he was elected emperor, not mayor.
Right.
So he has absolutely, the only thing he cares about is taking care of his friends, i.e. what's going on this evening with that ridiculous capital outlay, which we'll get to later.
I think one of the quotes comes back from when Flanagan was mayor, and we used to say, while the city burned, Nero fiddled.
Well, I got a new little slogan. I just thought of it. It just popped into my mind. It's like, for the South End residents who he's thumbing their nose at and saying that building's not going down. I may have somebody that I know that I want to give it to, and you've told him beyond the shadow of a doubt that you want that building gone, and I don't blame you. Just remember, Mayor Carrera, he don't care.
That's it. It's getting to be nauseating all the way around. Now, at 5:30 today, the boy Emperor is going to have a press conference on, now it's a name change. It's no longer called Streetscapes. It's now called the Capital Improvement Project. And in order to get this passed, the city council president, who likes to violate civil rights of the citizens by not allowing their letters to be read into the record, is holding a special meeting. Why are we going to hold a special city council meeting? Because when you hold a special city council meeting, the citizens can't speak in opposition. Again, the city council president and the boy Emperor shutting the voice of the people down. Okay? And they're going to take up the $2 million for the Atlantis Charter School. We can't give our own public schools money for teachers, so we can reduce the size of the classes. But we can give the Atlantis Charter School $2 million so they can get a bridge and a road to get to their undevelopable land. Because it's actually developable, but it's locked around undevelopable land. And we're going to acquire the land that nobody can build on, so we can build a wastewater, a water treatment plant or a wastewater treatment plant. This makes no sense. But this is to give his political friends some money out of the city coffers.
You're right. Look, this is all a big, giant, it's a money grab.
Right.
They love to get money. Now they're going to get a ton of money. Now, number one, the first thing is they're going to do it in a incremental manner, so they don't have to put it on the ballot.
Right.
Because but again, just as we had in this original ticketing bag story, that this is the third or fourth time that we've talked about this, and it still doesn't get done. Now he went to capital outlay because it's going to sound better, and he's going to bang the drum and give you the Kool-Aid to wash down the BS with it, because he's going to say we're going to buy like fire trucks and police cars, and so here we go again. I'm going to remind everybody, and actually we got to excerpt part of that from Carlin, because where he says that an educated electorate, an engaged electorate is the thing that they fear the most. So let's just remember something about this. We had the fire trucks paid for with federal money. That's already been discussed. We're going to pay with it. Now all of a sudden we're going to pay for this bond? Or is this for trucks to replace the entire fleet? So we can get in the areas that aren't covered by the federal grants? Well, that's BS too, and police cars. So here we go with the public safety alarm to get money. Because how long, well, in my case, it's well over 30 years, have I been saying when I was the president of the union, and every city council nodded its head and said, yes, we have to do that, when are city departments going to make equipment replacement part of their regular budget? Rather than giving out pay raises and creating all kinds of jobs for your friends, why haven't we, and how many fleets have we replaced? We wait until the entire fleet is obsolete, or half the police cars in the city can't start, and half the trucks in DPW are gone, and then we run around saying we got a bond and kill the taxpayer. Well, why don't you do it like cities that actually care about the public and public services? Department heads come in every year, and part of their budget is buy 1 or 2 police cars. Every 3 or 4 years, buy a fire apparatus. You know, and if you put away money every year in the budget, then every 2 or 3 years you can buy a truck. And this way the fleet doesn't become obsolete simultaneously, and we've got to go out and bond again. But oh, crap, that's ridiculous. That actually makes sense. That's the way a business runs. Private industry doesn't let all their machines go obsolete, so they have to invest millions of dollars and maybe have to shut down production and lose all kinds of production because the machines are breaking down because they're so old. It's part of their operating expenses. Well, guess what? It's part of the city's operating expenses. But they don't care because it's not their money. They just let everything, they fiddle while the city burns, and then they go out and bond and dump more debt on the taxpayer. And nobody holds them accountable. City council, I'm talking to you. The council that every time we talk about this nods their head like a bunch of bobble-headed puppets and says, yes, we have to do this. We have to come up with a way to do this as part of the operating budget so we don't have to go to these. But this is all a big, giant smoke and mirrors operation, because all this money, they just get more money to play with if they approve this. What he really wants to do is take care of his buddy and purchase place. So not only does he get the purchase place with this deal, he gets a whole bunch of money that he can play around with in and above purchase place. And guess who's taking a hit? You and me.
Maybe he'll get a city car for himself. He's been trying for a while now. Well, you know, we got to get into this quick.
Okay.
You know, they had the MBTA hearings here at BCC on Wednesday, and they started screaming, fairness, fairness, fairness. And obviously the two doesn't listen, because if you listen to his speech, he talked about how wonderful it will be to include Fall River in with Providence to make a connection, because right now you got to go to Providence to get the train to Boston. No, Mr. Mayor, in case you didn't know, the MBTA station's actually in Middleborough. Remember the line you're talking about? You want to make the MBTA line to Fall River come through Middleborough? Oh, you forgot about that, didn't you? It's amazing how you talk out of
his entire universe is Rhode Island. So.
Yeah, well, we know this. As a matter of fact, I think we should just secede by now.
That's right.
That way Pawtucket and Cumberland don't say, oh, good, bring them on board. We don't look as bad.
We won't be the worst place. We won't be the worst place in Rhode Island. Yeah.
But the thing is, he obviously didn't see the federal recommendation that Fall River, Somerset, and Swansea be moved out of the current transportation market and be moved into the Providence market.
Which you read, by the way.
Which we read.
You read it on the air.
Yes, I did. Which will result in lower funding to Fall River for transportation and economic development. So, Mr. Mayor, Boy Emperor, Your Royal Highness, Caesar, pay attention to what's going on, because every time you flap your jaws, somebody else comes up and says, but this is what it says. This is what they want to do. And you don't make any sense.
Well, if we become part of the greater Providence, at that district when they redistricted, as you read and we discussed on the last show, obviously the larger hubs are going to get the most money, just like when you deal with Boston. Boston gets the most money. So Providence, if we're part of Greater Providence, Providence is going to get more money, and it cuts off. So, hey, but then again, what the hell does facts, what the hell do facts mean?
I know we start swearing when we start talking about facts, but the thing that I thought was most appropriate was the articles written by the Herald where they referred to him as the 24-year-old mayor. And the mayor referred to himself in that fashion too. When they started talking about this, I wasn't even born yet. Well, guess what? I was. Yeah. And we've been talking about South Coast Rail for years. It's a vote grabber.
Yeah.
Every politician promises South Coast Rail, and guess what? Nobody gets it. So, hey, what can you do?
Yeah, well, you know, he wasn't born when they started it. He may be dead by the time they begin. So the conversation, it's like the Braga Bridge. That may be, you know, so there are people who are going to, it was kind of like the Red Sox finally waiting for that title. You know, they're going to be people that are born and die before you ever see it done. So.
Well, you know, getting away from those now, let's get on to our governor. And for those of you that don't know, this is an email sent to me by the governor, okay, from the Executive Office of Health and Human Services on the hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars we spent on determining what of the cause of opiate deaths are. This is an unprecedented report, excuse me. Unprecedented report on opiate epidemic. I'm just going to read you some of the key findings, which are going to surprise everybody. Medication-assisted treatment reduces the risk of fatal opioid overdose.
Yep.
Among people who have a non-fatal opioid-related overdose, those who engaged in opiate against treatment, OAT, agonist treatment, had half the risk of subsequent fatal opioid-related overdoses. That's called Suboxone, which we pay thousands of dollars every month. Hundreds of thousands. To
one of his buddies in Big Pharma.
Right.
Yeah.
Second thing they found out is that prescription drugs fuel the epidemic, but illegally obtained substances are more closely related to the overdoses.
Wow.
Wow. Didn't you know?
I'll tell you, that's what I love about government studies. It costs us millions and millions of dollars. In Massachusetts, we are the king.
Yeah.
Because we got the greatest waste of money in the history of the world, the big dig.
Yep.
And, you know, when you read stuff like this, it cost us millions of dollars to state the obvious. How much did this study cost? And it's stating something that everybody on the planet basically knows.
Right.
So we pay millions of dollars for them to tell us what we already know.
That's right.
Thank you, government.
Benzodiazepines and cocaine are commonly found in opiate deaths. Individuals who have been recently released from Massachusetts prisons are more than 56 times as likely to die from an opiate overdose. The percentage of opiate deaths for different age groups shows that young people in Massachusetts are especially at risk. And women are more likely than men to experience a fatal overdose due to prescription opioid use. Wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that most of them are of smaller body mass.
That's right.
So,
and I mean, look, every single item in this thing
we knew already
is absurd. I mean, it's so ridiculous. No kidding. People who are recently released from prison, 56. Well, why did they go to prison? Most of those people who overdosed were because they were criminals and they were probably stealing money to get drugs. But this is the problem. You see. They know the obvious, but government loves to spend and respend and spend more money because everything is a committee or a study. That's their way. And who gets... Now, their friends do these studies.
That's right.
You know, you make sure that somebody that you know gets to do this study. All we have to do is look back at when Eddie Lambert was mayor, and he had the UMass Dartmouth study on everything. And where did he get a job when he left the mayor's office? His first job was right there. So there's your politics, everybody, and spend more money. That's what government does. And remember what Milton Friedman said: you give the government the Sahara Desert, they'll run out of sand in 5 years.
And remember, contact your city councils and tell them, hey, I want input, especially at that Monday meeting. Don't fund it.
Tell them, don't vote for that capital outlay.